Some decent rain and wind on the way for tonight through tomorrow, followed by a rapid freeze Friday night. Let's go over some stuff. Okay, so what we're going to look at here is first some simulated radar. And this is the Zone Watch app. Again, it's my favorite thing recently. Um, it not only shows a good radar, but it shows future simulated radar better than I've seen on most other model sites. Um, let's cover some basics real quick, though. When you have what's called it's a mid-latitude cyclone, and you see that typical comma head appearance, or what I like to call a shark tooth sometimes. But basically, you have your low pressure that's situated about here, right? And then you have three distinct like conveyor belts of airflow. Ahead of the cold front, you have the warm sector, which typically has winds in this direction. Overhead, you have cool sector, and then you have the cold sector like this. So the air rotates, counterclockwise, also known as cyclonically in the northern hemisphere, around this low. And as this low, proceeds this way, everything that's moving goes along with it. So let's fast forward a little bit in the future simulated radar right until rain starts for New Jersey. And I'll zoom in a little bit here. So we're looking at a start time of about 11 p.m. tonight. Anytime after 11, call it midnight, give or take an hour. That's when the first raindrop should show up to New Jersey. And, it's going to rain pretty steady overnight. Some harder periods there overnight. So this is like 8 a.m. But when we get to the morning, I want to call attention to this strip here. This is that convective strip that I'm talking about, right? I mentioned it in the article yesterday. Now, the heaviest winds of this system are probably going to be right in this region ahead of that convective strip, right? And this is going to be for Friday morning. Now, we'll go over some guidance in a little bit, but we're thinking like 40, 50 mile an hour on average in that area from looking at all the guidance. So you're going to have those south-southwest winds that are ripping ahead of this convective line that's right ahead of the cold front. Then, let's fast forward a little bit more. When this strip moves through by itself, you're going to have possible outflow boundaries from that convective strip. It's going to be just like a summertime thunderstorm strip where you have colder air sliding in under warmer air aloft. So what you can get is a very micro area, and it won't even be as big as this, right? It'll be right along that strip, a micro area where outflow boundaries can possibly take those wind gusts a little bit higher. But it's a very, very short period of those winds. Most of the heavier winds are going to be out ahead of it, like this, which are going to start tonight and go through tomorrow morning. But when this convective strip rolls through tomorrow, that could get a little saucy wind-wise. And then once this is through, we'll fast forward a little bit to like 2 p.m. Once this is through, then you're going to have winds picking up out of the like west-northwest. And this is going to be widespread 30 to 40 mile an hour type stuff, typical cold air advection. And that's what's going to chill us down rapidly into Friday evening. By the time we hit like 5 or 6 p.m., it's cold enough to snow in New Jersey again, and temperatures are continuing to drop. So you may see some remnant precipitation Friday into Friday evening actually fall as snow behind this. But rocking it back, the main window of precipitation is tonight around midnight or just after. Falls completely overnight. Then that convective strip moves through from west to east over Jersey from about, let's call it 9 to 11 a.m., clearing the East Coast by noon. And then we just rapidly chill with those west-northwest winds. So if we look at a little bit of guidance, and this was the future simulated radar from the NAM. And again, I'll post a link to the description for this Zone Watch. You can download the app, or you can use it in a web browser like this. but it's absolutely great. We'll look at her a little bit. First, we'll look at total rainfall. So here you have, this is right around midnight when it first starts showing up. By the time we're said and done, total rainfall is anywhere from like 3/4 of an inch to 1.25 inches is what's being modeled here. It really depends on where the strongest rain bands are going to fall, but I think you're safe with that. 3/4 to 1.25 inches general expectation. Obviously, there's going to be isolated instances where some people see a little less and a little more, but for the most part, that should be the range of total rainfall that we see overnight, and that's much needed for our ground. Honestly, we haven't had much rainfall lately, so you gotta feed the ground and the reservoirs, aquifers, all those fun things. Now let's look at wind. So first I'll just do sustained wind speeds, which indicates direction. So here you see right after midnight. So we're dealing with like a south wind, maybe a little bit southeast wind, starting tonight into the early hours of Friday morning. And then you can see that, let me back up here for a second. You can see those winds change this is that strip right here, that convective strip right in eastern PA. You can see how the winds change from out of the south to more of a westerly direction with the cold air that moves in, and ultimately west-northwest into Friday evening. So that's going to be your wind profile. It's going to start picking up this evening, tonight. It's going to ramp up overnight with the rainfall. And then once that strip moves through between like 10, maybe 9 and 11 a.m. Friday morning, it's going to change to the west-northwest. So when you see that wind direction change, you know that strip is through. One more modeled aspect to look at here is lightning intensity. And, I think that strip's going to be convective enough to spark some thunderstorms either overnight tonight or into tomorrow morning, because, Jersey's going to be as warm as like 60 degrees, maybe even a few degrees higher in South Jersey when that warm sector's ripping right ahead of that convective strip. So temperatures are going to kind of increase overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. It's one of those anomalous times where the temperatures increase overnight into the morning rather than peaking in the afternoon. But take this with a grain of salt as far as lightning specific locations. But I just want to point out that the model is expecting a little bit of lightning between about 12Z, which is like 7 a.m. and maybe 11. So right along that convective strip, you could have a little bit of lightning in there. It's not a guarantee, but I'd say it's a good possibility at this point. So let's go back here and just rewind and summarize once more. So the rain arrives tonight, anytime after 11 p.m., falls decently overnight. Friday morning, we have this convective strip roll through between about 9 and 11 a.m., and then we rapidly cool down. It's not a flash freeze, but Friday night, once temps drop below zero, below freezing rather, they're just going to keep going down. So any wet surfaces are going to freeze. We will have those strong winds, and that's going to help dry out most roadways. But puddles, sidewalks that have poor drainage, those types of things, those are going to be frozen. So if you're driving around and you see something that looks wet later Friday night, especially after sundown, assume it's frozen, because all this rain is going to wash away the road treatments from this previous snow system. So there's not going to be much in the way of melting any roads that are icy, unless they, of course, go out and salt a little bit tomorrow once the convective strip is through. So just a little bit about what to expect tonight through tomorrow night. We have our rain and wind, and then we have our rapid cool down. So I just wanted to lay everything out here with the future simulated radar and some guidance. So everybody have a great rest of your Thursday night, and please be safe.